Hey everyone, it's Dan. Um, I'm just doing my next video, only two more of these to go. This one may end up getting up there a little bit late. I don't know if it's going to make it on there today or not, but we'll see what happens. Um, anyway, this one is continuing the Apocalypse trilogy by John Carpenter, and we're going to take a look at Prince of Darkness. Now, this one, I'll admit, I've never actually seen this film until just a couple of weeks ago. That was the first time I'd ever watched it. Um, but I was pleasantly surprised. It's really kind of a, you know, sort of an attempt to blend um, science with religion, um, and kind of, compare and contrast the two. Um, and personally, I think it did a fairly decent job, although a lot of the things were a little bit, out of the realm of possibility, I think. Um, but all in all, as a John Carpenter movie, it's a good movie. And now one of the things I liked about it the most was that Alice Cooper, of course, shows up in it, and he plays just like some homeless schizophrenic, and he actually scores the first kill of the film, which was kind of cool. Um, he doesn't really have any lines or anything per se in the film, but he scores the first kill, so that was neat. But anyway, what the film is actually about is this priest who eventually, in the very beginning, takes his final breaths and dies, and it turns out that he was the final guardian of this secretive section of this church. Now, Donald Pleasance plays another priest who then, opens up this box that the first priest was holding when he died, and finds, a key and all that stuff, and goes down into the bowels of the church to find a completely different, church room down there with a huge glass vial in the center filled with some kind of weird green slimy liquid. Um, and of course, it turns out that the first priest was trying to, just guard this and protect it from the outside world so that nobody would know of the true purpose of the church, which was to basically just hide this stuff, which was the essence of evil, basically the essence of Satan, from the rest of the world, and prevent it from ever being able to break out. But of course, now that the first priest is dead, well, they don't have a whole lot more time. And already the thing starts to take over the minds of a lot of homeless schizophrenics that are living out and around the area, including Alice Cooper. And they all start to kind of, flock to the church and surround it. Donald Pleasance calls up Howard Wong's character, Dr. Barak, and kind of like Barak, and he's a renowned quantum physicist, and I guess the church had worked with him before for something, I'm not sure what, and so Donald Pleasance calls him back to see what can be done about this stuff, what exactly it is, and that of course is how they find out that between those two and a bunch of grad students, that is the essence of evil, the essence of Satan. But they find out some more, even more disturbing, news, and that is that Satan is the son, or just, the offspring somehow of a greater darkness, basically an anti-god that is trapped in the antimatter realm, um, and wants to unleash his father into the, mortal plane. Um, so to do this, of course, this water ends up kind of like, getting into, just shooting itself in other people's mouths and possessing them. And it possesses this one gal who has, some sort of symbol on her arm, some sort of, cut or bruise or something that she got. But it turns out to actually be like this symbol of darkness or whatever. And her skin starts to change and slough off and everything. All of these other people that the entity took over they all begin to just like do bizarre things, like one guy just flat out slits his own throat and then just like covers it up and is still walking around. There's one guy whose his neck got broken, so he's just sort of like walking around like this, all possessed and everything. And everybody's trying to hide in the church, from all of these people who are possessed. And ultimately, it ends up the gal with the symbol, whose flesh is all sloughing off and everything, goes into a room with this large mirror, and reaches her hand into the mirror to begin to pull out the anti-god, Satan's father. And there is another character, two of the grad students ended up, kind of having a tryst and deciding that they love each other and all this and that stuff. And so they show up and, to try to figure out everything too. And the gal ends up kind of bum rushing the girl with the symbol that's possessed as she's pulling out this big, like, beast-like hand out of the mirror, and pushes her into the mirror. She falls into the mirror as well, just as Donald Pleasance just takes an axe and throws it at the mirror, and the mirror shatters. So now she is trapped in the antimatter realm as well. This, of course, upsets the guy, the male grad student, who, then proceeds to have a dream about her, coming back evil and everything, and then wakes up, and basically the ending is just him staring at this mirror, looking like he's about ready to try to, put his hand through the mirror, and then it just stops. I don't know, it's not the best John Carpenter movie that I've ever seen, not by a long shot. Not to say that it's bad, because it is a decent movie. It just, I feel like he might have been trying to tackle some concepts that were a little bit beyond the scope of the film, especially with the effects that were possible at the time. And of course, all the effects were practical effects, which is great, but just, I don't know, I don't really feel like that time was an opportune time to tell this story in a film. Is it a good movie? Yes. Do I recommend it? Yes. However, there are better ones out there. And this one just was really kind of lacking. There didn't seem to be a whole lot of substance to it. It really didn't seem like it gave you enough time to really care about any of these characters. And I don't know, it just sort of, I wasn't all that impressed by it. But still, you should give it a check out. And we're going to finish up tomorrow, the end of the month, with the final film in the Apocalypse trilogy, In the Mouth of Madness. So be sure to check that out.